Angino Perez on September 20th. Why him?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Why not? Exactly. Why not? But I just train. You know, listen to my trainer brother Naazim. You know, they pick the opponents. You know, I didn't pick my opponents. He come with the opponent and say this, find a strategy, and then I execute the strategy.
You know, he has a lot of knockouts, but when he stepped up and fought, you know, known competition, he's always come up short. Ashley Theophane, Richard Abreu, Carlos Molina. I mean, it would seem like, you know, you would be ready for those types of opponents by now. So, like, how much longer do you think you have to, you know, fight at this level?
I'm prepared to fight at any level, really. You know, it's just, you know, this is a couple more fights, you know, to gain experience. I'm ready for this, you know, at the top level. You know, but experience plays a big part in this game. So by the time, you know, at the top of next year, I'll be ready for whatever level, anybody.
Are you eager to face those kinds of guys, like, you know, the next step up?
Well, I'm curious before y'all move forward on that. I'm curious. What level is this in that? I'm not sure. What when you say this level in the same breath as this kid's got a lot of knockouts? Which level is this? Is this the level of finding out how to fight a guy that got a lot of knockouts?
Well, it's knockouts against people we don't really know, you know, as opposed to, you know, established fighters.
Okay, before Mike Tyson fought for the world championship, how many of them guys did you know that he knocked out?
Oh,
every one of them. If you're a boxing fan, it's the heavyweight division. If you don't know the heavyweight division,
you didn't say the names.
Jesse Ferguson.
Before he fought for the world title, you love Jesse Ferguson. And Jesse Ferguson had beaten who?
Fair mercy.
He was like unbeaten prospect, I think.
But he had beaten who?
Wait, do unbeaten prospects. Mike Tyson, kind of a different story. He was only early in his career.
Let me tell you something that I tell them. If a man is there in there healthy, with two hands throwing punches at you, that's the level of boxing, and it's dangerous. You don't understand me? You don't let the media, nobody else start putting people in certain places, and then you walk in there. I mean, I know you know this, but I'm just letting them know that you know this. Because you don't know the guy's name, because don't get fooled by the media, because then you got to find it. Go through the media pick and see. Buster Douglas, who could fight. How many people picked him over Tyson? And all of us in the gym for years said, man, if that boy ever fought like his dad, Bill Douglas, he'd be a beast. And that night he fought like Bill Douglas. You don't understand. Nobody who's throwing punches at you. If you show up in a 16-year-old kid and they throwing punches at you, sit him down. Because he's dangerous.
Well, I agree with that. It's just, how much credit is he going to be given for the victory?
They still harassing Mayweather, and this kid did everything he can do for you in boxing. My grandmother used to make a statement. I never understood it until I got grown. My grandmother said, they talk bad about Jesus. I'm like, what's she talking about? They talk bad about Jesus. I never got it. She said, I guess she was saying the guy that walked on water and made water out of wine, they still had something to say about him. If you go straight and win 25 more of these fights in a row, let's say about 25 knockouts, I promise you, somebody will say, well, why hasn't he? That's going to always be there. So you have to make the plans for yourself to do what you got to do as a boxer and as an athlete.
So what should we expect in this fight then?
He got to bring the best Karl Dargan he can bring forward. That's what boxing is. He has to bring that in each and every fight.
Karl, how much progress do you think you've made since you signed with Main Event?
I fought a lot more. I wasn't main event. I wasn't with anyone, you know. So it's like they would have opponents for me, but some opponents would price themselves out the deal. You know, I would have to start from square A. But being in the main events, like he found a lot of guys, you know, willing to step in the ring. And I've been actually more busy than I was without him promoter.
And how much has it helped to stay busy?
Excuse me?
How much has it helped to stay busy?
It helps a lot. a lot. It helps a lot because in boxing, you know, you can't. There's some people say, "Dang, I gotta go in this." If they haven't fighting a long time, they say, "I gotta get ring rust." In this game, you don't got time to knock out ring rust. You know, as soon as you get in the ring, you know, you gotta be on point. You don't have a few rounds to get ring rust because within them few rounds, the fight will be over.
Carl, is this the first time you've ever had media coverage before a fight?
No, not the first time. Each time I fought on NBC, I had media coverage.
I mean, you know, I get together
also,
like this.
And also, I've been around it my whole life. I've been around the media my whole life and been experiencing this kind of pressure my whole life, even though if it wasn't it. You know, being around Bernard since I was 8 or 9 years old, Shane Mosley, a lot of these guys. So.
Are you excited about fighting on regular NBC TV for the second time? You did back in November in front of everyone. You know, big showcase. How do you feel about that?
I look at it as if it wasn't on NBC, I look at it the same. But of course, yes, I appreciate the exposure, but you know, I can't, you know, focus on whether it's going to be TV or not. I just got to focus on the task at hand, which is the fight.
Brother Naazim, is there any risk in that he's on in a big stage and that maybe he tries to impress too much, or is that the kind of thing you have to, you know, work with a rising fighter?
Well, I think I agree with you in that I think that is something you have to pull into a young fighter. But he answered that question earlier when he said he's been around this. There's certain things that we've got to skip over because he's been around it so much. He was raised around it. So I was sitting here wrapping these other guys' hands. They were telling him, "Hey man, listen, don't let the television fool you. Hey, don't let somebody tell you this, or don't let somebody tell you that." You know, he got that kind of education. See, he's got a high education in the sport at a very young age. So I don't worry about him overshooting the mark just because it's television.
What are some of the things that stand out from Bernard, from being around him when you were a kid?
Knowledge. Most importantly, knowledge and discipline, really. You know, he tells you that, he shows you, teach you, and let you know that it's a lifestyle. It's not something you just do when you want to. You gotta live it every day.
Listen, I think you're better than Mickey Bay. I think you're better than Hank Lundy. You've held the 135 weight, and Bay's got a title fight coming up. I think you're going to be a real sleeper when you get your shot. You certainly have all the potential in the world. I remember when you won the Pan Am title way back, so.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that statement myself. Thank you, sir. But the only thing that I do say, and I tell him, he won't be a sleeper. He's only a sleeper to the public.
Right.
The boxing world has known Dynamite probably longer than they've known Mickey Bay. Yep. The boxing world has already known everybody who's ever fought Mayweather has called for this guy to box. So the boxing world already knows. So anybody he fights, I'll tell you, you're not sneaking up on them. But we do have to open up the public's eyes to who this kid is. And he has to do that by performing every time he gets an opportunity.
What type of challenge is it for you as a trainer to balance, you know, having multiple fighters at once and working out at different gyms?
Well, it can be hectic sometimes because sometimes your schedule comes down to, if I get a red light too long, I'm in trouble going to the next project. But the thing that's good is that I've been blessed to work with great athletes. I don't take on a lot of prospects. I don't take on a lot of, I'm just going to take this job because they're paying good. Actually, a couple of my buddies have talked to me about that. He said, man, you could be where some of them other guys are if you went on and took all them projects on. 3 or 4 guys lose, they don't care. They got 3 or 4 guys to go. And then when those guys win, all the public talks about is those guys that won. I'm talking about them other guys that got knocked off or not in the gym anymore. You know, but I can't do that because I put too much into these kids. And like I said, these guys here are family. You know, I taught him how to spell the word boxing. I didn't teach him how to box. One time I took pride in Philadelphia that in the amateur program coming up that I felt like I had more national champions whose diapers I changed than any other fighter, any other trainer in the game.
And you say athlete whenever you mention a boxer. What makes you say that?
Because that's what they are, and in all actuality, not dissing any other sport. It's incredible. That's why most other athletes can't come over to our sport. because the body's not designed for what it goes through in boxing. But the body is so great, if you put it in great shape, it'll endure.
Is it frustrating that the public is not really catching on to Dargan as fast as others, maybe?
No, I'm not frustrated about that, but I am frustrated how the public doesn't respect our sport and understand it. You know, like it is. Like I said, in our sport, if you even take a guy like Bernard, he's 30 years old. That's ancient in our sport. That's not just old, that's ancient in our sport. And this guy's working on his next stage. If he was playing baseball, winning World Series at his age, where would he be? He'd be on the front of Home and Garden. You'd be tired of looking at it. You could pick up a magazine, he'd be in front of it.
Another Satchel Paige.
What's that?
Could be another Satchel Paige.
But like I said, winning World Series, not competing. He's winning World Championship. This young guy's not. Rocky Juarez, I saw him at 15 years old. I said this kid would be world champion. Unfortunately, he came into a weight class where the guys in front of him were all first ballot Hall of Famers. He didn't just have champions in front of him. So he was struggling to win a world title. You got a man that age winning world title. Satchel Paige would have to be winning World Series to compete with Bernard Hopkins.
Karl, what's it like to train with Naazim, and how much knowledge does he have?
To me, all the knowledge. Dude, all the knowledge. Man, like I listen, like I hear other trainers talk, but a lot of time when I'm just around, because I'm so used to hearing Naazim. If another trainer talking, unless I actually know you since I was young, I don't listen. But it's a blessing, because there's a lot of people in this game that would kill to be in a position on him with Naazim. So, I don't take it for granted, So it's definitely a blessing.
And since he is training other fighters, and that obviously doesn't get in the way of you, how much of a how impressive is that he's able to balance so many things?
It lets you know that training fighters is almost just as hard as the fighter training period. You can't just, a lot of trainers have 1 or 2 people, they train at the same gym, but he bounces around different gyms every day, 3 to 4 gyms every day. So it's like, that's hard work. That's harder than 9 to 5, and it's physical work too.
Naazim, what's your schedule today?
Like I said, we got this guy early. In the afternoon, we got a couple guys going in, and tonight we got boxing. As a matter of fact, he'll be back in tonight. But,
is that a normal day for you? Going from morning till night?
Yeah, it's usually about 3 gyms you got to hit, especially when everybody's got big projects coming up. And then it comes down to the personality. You guys have all interviewed Bernard Hopkins. So you know the personalities we have to deal with. And this young guy here is a pleasure to work with for simple fact. He's very mature. And that's the balance. It's not quite. Most young guys are so immature, they win a fight, especially like a performance he had in his last fight, and they don't think they have to train no more. They'll celebrate that. They'll start talking after party and celebrating that like they just won 2 world championships. But the thing I told him when he won the USBA, I said, that's what B-Hop had. I said, that's a championship starter-up kid. I said, if you treat it like he did, it could turn into something better than that, or more advanced. I think he understands that.
Karl, what did it feel like when you won your first professional, belt, the USBA? Was that last November in the NBC fight?
Right.
Yeah.
It actually made me remind myself that I was a champion. Because in the amateurs, for years, from 2003, 2002 actually, every year I won a national championship. So it just gave me the remembrance that I'm still a champion. Just because I turned pro, doesn't mean I'm not a champion or on championship level.
His first belt he won was a UBO belt. And the only reason we fought with that for that reason, I told him, I said, man, you so used to being the champion, I don't want you to forget it. It's going to take a little longer in the pro. So that was one of the reasons. And then we got the opportunity when what's his name got hurt?
Adam.
Yeah. Adam got hurt. He was fighting in his first 8-rounder, and they asked us, will we step up to a 10-rounder? And that's why it's good for it to be a lifestyle. Because a lot of times you don't have time to run in the gym and start getting ready for something that's right there in front of you. So he was training for a 10-round fight anyway.
Naazim, excuse me, do you have a timetable for his career in your mind?
No, actually I don't. My thing is I want him to just progress, stay as healthy as he can. What I really would have liked to see is I'd like to see him fight for a title when he had like 22, 23 fights. I'd like to see him be about 22, 23-0 with maybe 2 knockouts. And one or 2 knockouts is all I look for. And move on from there.
So
if with 2 knockouts, what guy wouldn't put him up front? Fight him in the second.
Since you have the NABF title now, that puts you in WBC rankings, I believe. They rank like up to 40 guys. I believe the top 2, because Omar Figueroa just vacated the world title, will be Hank Lundy and Jorge Linares. If they fight, because they're number 1 and 2, who do you like in that?
Fight Linares, you gotta be able to box. You gotta have good defense. I think Hank is a good, all-around boxer, all-around, but you can't, with the way Hank fight, sometimes he get lazy in his fights. You can't do that with Linares. So with that fight, I can't say who's going to win, but I can tell you the goods and the bads on both sides.
You think Hank needs to talk himself up more?
Need to what?
To talk himself up. Even the reporters know.
He's rated number 1 in that department.
Pound for pound.
No, Hank Hank got everything. He has the skill and to beat him. He definitely does. It's all about staying focused inside the ring. Right. Just like with John Molina, to me he was winning the fight, but then he got unfocused. Couldn't stay focused. You can't, if you feel as though you're winning a fight or it's feeling easy to you, you can't take nothing for granted. You can't get lazy. You still gotta remember, you gotta stay poised and finish the fight and win the fight.
Have you worked with both Hank and Linares? No.
Nah.
Either one of them?
Nope.
No? Okay. So this is just all out of the ring observation?
Right.
Okay. Just making sure, because I know you spar everybody, so.
Not everybody.
Like I said, most of the guys are for Mayweather.
Well, those guys, right? Guys make a lot of money.
I think Madonna's probably the only one we missed. And his cousin had to fight Madonna to make the Olympic team.
How do you feel about fighting on NBC again? On the network, on the big one?
It was good. Good exposure. It's just another step-up fight, so they say.
And work got to be done.
How about fighting in the afternoon? Is that strange at all?
Adjust to my habitat. It's got to be done. Can't sit around and complain about it, because at the end of the day, it's still going to be the same thing. I'm not going to change the time if I complain about it.
Amen. That's the maturity I talk about in the young guy. And it's not just talk. He carries himself like that. When we go to camp, and the last fight we had, didn't have a great camp. A lot of things went wrong. Enough things go wrong for a guy to make an excuse. He never made an excuse. When I was complaining, he never complained. You know what I mean? He just went on and did the job.
But Anaj, you're one of the best tapers in the business. Good Lord, that's a work of art.
How'd you learn how to do that?
When him and his twin brother was little, every day I had to wrap their hands. They went to box every day. I had to wrap. That's when I came up with getting them football slide-ons. I started putting here, y'all put these on. They put the pads on. Next thing I know, they're selling them in magazines. But they started putting the football slide-ons on because I was tired of wrapping their hands. And then they was little, and they would fidget and point and jump around and turn. That's how I learned how to practice for Bernard. Because I had to talk to y'all and point and want to show you. Sometimes he'll take the guards and stand up and want to demonstrate something. I'm sitting there like, this guy. But every fighter has their own personality. You know what I mean? And you know, like I say, this kid is. You have fighters. I told y'all this several times. You have fighters. You have champions. Then you have the elite. Then you have guys that are special. Now, only the elite and the special are guaranteed big paydays. Champions aren't even guaranteed big paydays. Only the elite and the special. When you're elite, you can compete with other champions. When you're special, you start seeing the guys dominate other champions and win multiple belts and multiple weight classes. That's those guys that are special. This kid, and you guys amongst yourself, you'll think to yourself how many fighters you know there was each one. Because there's fighters, like I say, there's fighters who can fight. There's fighters who know how to win. And then there's fighters who know how to look good. Now, we all know my man Emmanuel Augustus can fight. And he looked good. Emmanuel Augustus wasn't big on knowing how to win. But Bernard Hopkins early in his career could fight. And he could win. But he ain't always look good. You know what I mean? So every once in a while you get those guys that come along like the Ali or like a Floyd who has all three intangibles. Even Bernard in time started learning how to look good at times. You know, he can muster that up for you sometimes. He can muster that up for you. But he been how to win. And he could always fight. And this is what I think this young man is on that process.
Were there any trainers, when you said when your boys were young and you were wrapping their head, were there any trainers back in the day that taught you or took you under their wing, so to speak, or that you watched closely in the gym?
No, not when it came to hand wraps. Hand wraps, I had a guy named Carly Price. He used to wrap my hands years ago. But I picked up stuff from that, and then just the amateur program, the bylaws of what they had in the amateur program, I would wrap their hands, and then from there just went on to the pros.
And this is training fighters, though? Was it something that you just started and learned as you went along, or were there guys that schooled you, trainers?
I never went like hand in hand, went and like, hey, watch this, watch that. For the simple fact, I just knew what the rules were for the hand wrap procedure, and I rap guided behind the rules. I rap guided behind the guidelines, and then I just stayed with that.
What about just the fight game in general? That's what I mean, not just the hand wrap, the fight game in general.
All these guys I watch and I respected. Boy Fischer was a mentor of mine in every which way. But I really say this not out of disrespect, but in the highest regard. Boy Fischer told me more about life than he told me about boxing. Boy Fischer told me about life and how a man should carry himself in life, how a man should be with his family in life. That's what I learned more of that from Boy than that. It helps in boxing. Yeah, I fought. Nothing to left with these guys. And I fought more in the streets right than I fought in the amateur program or whatnot. But I was raised around, like I said, Pete Tucker and Al Fennell. These guys were like geniuses, man. I mean, you know, I used to tease them. I used to say, man, if I learned half of what they forgot in boxing, I could be an impact on the sport. I learned that from that. Nowadays, you get trainers, they get behind a kid who can punch like Hercules, and they take all the credit in the world. Or the one I love that I get a lot of, well, you didn't start Bernard out. They don't realize. There's a communication that's easier for me with Dargan than it is with guys who I didn't start out. I mean, it's an easier communication. I felt like we lost a fight against Pacquiao with Shane Mosley simply because we didn't have a history of trust. I mean, the same fight, I'm getting ready for the Trinidad fight with Bernard. He said, man, how we gonna beat this guy? I'm looking at the film, I said, yo, man, we gonna beat this guy with a jab. I'm watching the film, everything showed me jab. Because he walked in my room one day and watched him and Jobby, Trinidad and Jobby. He said, Dad, what you trying to intimidate me every time I walk in the room, you watching this fight? I said, Bernard, Trinidad one of the best finishers in boxing history. How come he hurt Jobby so hard, so early and didn't finish early? Because Jobby put a jab in. I said, now, your jab's better than Jobby, you're stronger than Jobby, and you're not hurt in the beginning. Your jab could do even more than him. Bernard cussed me out for a half hour. Jab, I didn't think nobody jabbed the guy. But then between Bernard and Shane was, Bernard went out and tried. Just probably so he could come back and say, man, that bullshit ain't working. You know what I mean? But he tried it. But wait a minute. Hold up. He went to work on the dude. You know what I mean? So he gonna add the rest of it in there. What he gonna do? Booyah kept telling him that uppercut's gonna be there. And Bernard added that in the last round and finished the fight out. I saw something in the Pacquiao fight. I gave it to Shane. Shane didn't trust it. And I'm not knocking him, I understand. He didn't trust it. He told me most of his career, he just got in shape and he wouldn't beat everybody up. I said, what? I said, Shane, why you so hard-headed? He said, I never really fight behind game plans. My partner would get me in shape. I just go beat him. That's okay. You were the best fighter in the world at that time. You could do that. But as you get older, the guys who learn the fundamentals are the guys that stick around. The guys that box when they're natural, they win because they're athletes, like we talked about earlier. They win, but they can't sustain because we all lose our athleticism with age. And then you have to learn how to answer that phone, roll that shoulder. They had to learn how to do these things. Now, when they've done that, they stick around a little longer. So they're knocking on Floyd. Floyd got some age on him now. But the kid learned the sport. He had natural gifts. Plus, his pop and his uncles and them were some of the best in the business. So he learned the sport too. So he a problem. That's why he really a problem.
What do you think of Triple G?
I think he's special. If that punching power is legitimate, no disrespect to the man. No disrespect. I'm just an untrusting kind of dude about everything. Like my kids will tell you, they get tired of that. I'm just paranoid, old dude. If that punching power is legitimate, monster. And the thing about Triple G, his power is not what impresses me. His balance. His balance to me is uncanny. I mean that. That's the attribute I want to use. His balance is uncanny. It's like this kid's balance is as close to perfect as you can get. You know what I mean? If I can get a guy to be on balance like that half the time, I'd be more than satisfied. I think it'll make him a champion. And these kids' balance is just ridiculous. When he gets hit, he stays on balance. He gets hit, rocks back, and still has enough balance to crack you and get you out of there. There's still enough on there. He's a special guy. Special guy.
What made you want to start training fighters?
I guess it was that natural progression. I was boxing, and my trainer was good to me. It was such a great experience. When my sons came up in the house and they seen the trophy, I got to have a trophy. And every year when they would win trophies, they'd come home and stand them up next to mine. And it wouldn't be as big enough. So finally, we went to a tournament in Virginia, and my son went out there and won a trophy that was 6'2". I said, well, shit, we put that to rest now. We got all kind of mail and all kind of stuff inside the trophy. It became a piece of furniture now. And then he wouldn't let me break it down. If you break it down, they never go back right. So I'm in the Nissan Sentra with this trophy in the back seat with all three of them hanging out the window. People pull up to me, you know that's hanging out the window? No, I didn't notice that. Thank you. Good heads up. Got flies all on the man on the trophy and everything. It was crazy, but it was natural. I didn't trust. Again, I didn't trust putting the hands of my children, my nephews, my cousins. I didn't trust putting them in other people's hands with something this dangerous. I said, so I have to guide it myself.
How and when did you link up with Bernard?
Me and Bernard knew each other from years back in Germantown. But what happened was I was training young guys in the gym, and Bowie saw me. And Bowie saw us. This guy was just talking about it. Were y'all at the workout yesterday? One of my guys just came to me and said, man, I seen your routine and blah, blah, blah in there. I said, yeah. I said, Bowie used to get on me about that. He said, yo, Bowie said, I've been in this game over 30 years. He said, some of this stuff I see you doing that you might never see nobody else do. He said, you have to teach the whole gym. And that's when he brought me in and started asking me to work out and about the pads and whatnot. He said, but don't teach the whole gym. He said, some of that stuff you do, son, I ain't gonna let nobody lie to you and tell you they used to do that long time ago. He said, I ain't never seen nobody do that stuff. Like when I took the double-in bag, and I see it all the time now. When Shane was fighting, I took the double-in bag and I made a little ball out of it, just a teeny little ball when Shane was fighting. Now they sell it. Now they sell it in the store. But I built that for Shane to sharpen up his accuracy. Older guy coming along, so I'm to sharpen up his accuracy. But it was on 24/7. It was a wrap after that. Like I said, the slide on hand wraps I used to get them. They sell in the store now. Remember the big rubber bands I brought home from work? The big rubber bands, and they used to look at me like I was retarded. Like, why are we punching with these rubber bands? You know, now there's a whole fitness thing surrounding that. But Bowie used to get on me about that. We said, man, you ain't got to show everybody that. He said, you got a lot of creative stuff. You keep it for you and your team. No. Bowie Fisher is a great man who happened to be an outstanding trainer. I was blessed to be around them guys. And unlike some trainers, I work with trainers who, while we work with the guy, they sit there and badmouth the guy. But I work with Freddie Roach and these guys, and I like these dudes, man. I think they do a heck of a job. But most people chew me up. Oh, Freddie not doing nothing. And the famous one, oh, they didn't build none of those fighters up. Listen, man, as you know, driving a car off the lot, you have a lot more confidence than a car you got that was you. You don't know what's going on with that car. You got to change so many things. Same thing with the fighters. It's already built up. You almost wish he was one of your guys you started because they can read things. Like I say, Dynamite boxes the way I think a lot of times. So when he used to be here, I should demonstrate to the other fighters. You go to the body now, but I wouldn't say it to them. They just see me talking to them, and they look up and he start doing it. He thought like that. Because he's a real mature kid. Him and my youngest son Bear were the little guys in the gym. So they were always up on. You notice, you see Bear. Bernard hired my son Bear. I didn't hire him. Bernard told him, he said, listen, man, you work for me. You don't work for Naazim. He said, you got your separate money? I go give Naazim a check and tell him to give you some. He said, you work for me. And so, but he trusted. But Bear always had that kind of IQ. I've had a couple of my fighters tell me when I got sick and they thought I was going to retire. One of my fighters told me, he said, if you retire, he said, I'm going to get Bear to train me. He said, because I boxed Bear before. He said, Naazim, all the champions, everybody boxed. He said, I never boxed anybody that could pull me into things like he could. But him and Dynamite were always up under me, where I was yelling at somebody else, and they're sitting there watching. So they became real mature in the sport, you know what I mean? They hear you mumbling little things like, this guy gonna sit on the ropes all day long. So when they realize now that that's wrong, he picked up and he passed it on. That's a special young guy there, man. Like I said, you don't know a lot about this kid.
Angino Perez.
Angino Perez, don't know a lot about him. Trying to gauge his height and everything because they didn't have his height and a lot of stuff on already. We're getting a bunch of different numbers there. We just had to prepare for everything and bring the best Dargan we have. We bring the best Karl Dargan we have. We feel like we can get past a kid like this. You know what I mean? So man, that's what it has to be.
Where'd you pick up like the sayings that you use? And are you well read or?
No, that's just nature, man. I don't know. You just see things. And then you gotta realize you train a lot of young guys in the gym. You have to get them a way to see it and understand it without it getting real boring. And the toughest thing about our sport, we have no season. It's not like, well, while you're off season, I can go do whatever I want to do. This is a lifestyle. That's what he tell you. This is a lifestyle. He's not a boxer sometimes. If he goes to the barbecue tomorrow, he's a professional fighter at a barbecue. If he goes to the ocean next week, he's a professional fighter in the ocean. I'm not going to stop being Muslim when I stop boxing. I'm not going to stop being Muslim when the fight's over. It's my lifestyle. It's who I am. And this is what a fighter has to do.
Do you believe the family atmosphere that you've created with your team allows that maturation process to happen?
I think so. It's because, like when they were little kids, Dynamite was always the first fighter. He was the smallest and we go to different cities. I say, all right, D-Man, you go out there and show them we can win out here. You know what I mean? And he go out there and do his thing, blah, blah, blah. Now the rest of them get a little confident, like, okay, we can get a decision out here or something, you know? And then the rest of them, then we'd all try to outdo each other. Rock was always the biggest guy because pretty much Dynamite's brother, my son Tiger, and Rock were all about the same weight. So I'd have to move Tiger up to keep him away from Mike. I'd have to move Rock up to keep him away from Tiger. So they go out there and they all box and they do their thing, and then Rock would be last. And it's crazy because I used to say, Rock, you're not going to let us win four trophies out here. They ain't going to let us come to this guy's hometown and we fighting 4 guys from out here and they let us win all 4. So when all 3 of them won, I like, Rock, you need to knock out. And Rock used to go knock them. They used to argue amongst themselves because Dynamite and Tiger used to always win outstanding boxers. So Dynamite's brother finally went outstanding boxing. He was a lady. He had tears in his eyes and everything. So Tiger would tease Rock and say, yeah, man, how many outstanding boxes you got? How many outstanding boxes you got? Rock said, I don't be in here long enough for them to know I'm outstanding boxers. He said, they don't know how outstanding I am. He said, because I stopped them. But you see the way they believed each other. They cheered on each other. Dynamite get in the ring and they all start yelling, Dynamite, blow up. Dynamite, blow up. Kaboom, kaboom. And he would just come to life. And I'm back to like, just calm down and go into it. But you can see, that would bring him to life. He started doing his thing. I said, oh my goodness. They had that connection. And it's important.
Yeah, Uzi said that Mike Dargan has a lot of potential.
Mike Sharp is one of the best fighters I've ever seen, really. But like the streets, like so many, I mean, how many? Goat Manical is one of the best ball players they say ever lived. We don't know if you don't. I know Andre Ward is one of the best fighters I've ever seen in my life, but he's not fighting. If you're not fighting, we don't know. Sharp was so talented, and coming up as a young guy. Like I said, in amateurs, he beat Chad Dawson. He beat Kermit Citron, he beat Tim Bradley, Micah Chongo, who won a world title in smaller weight. But I always told him, you know how I can tell you didn't accomplish nothing in boxing? Because I always have to tell people who you beat for me to talk about your talent level. I don't have to, I can say Rock Allen won the U.S. Championships 3 times. Rock Allen was on the Olympic team. Rock Allen won the Junior Olympics with his brother. They're the first brothers to ever win the Junior Olympic gold medal together. And they're still the only twins that's ever done it ever. You can just go through their accomplishments. Karl Dargan is a Pan Am gold medalist. Karl Dargan is a 2-time U.S. champion. You can just go through his accomplishments. Karl Dargan is so close. Karl Dargan is the youngest overclass champion in the history of Philadelphia. Won overclass power when he was 16 years old. Men did it. Little sidetrack just to be fair on that. Actually, it's Meldrick. Actually won. It's Meldrick. But they lied about Meldrick's age to get him out there. So that lie pushing his age up makes Karl younger than him. So we did the right thing. You know what I mean? But actually, Meldrick terrible.
Do you know much about Al Massey as a trainer?
Not much about the trainer. I've heard he does a good job. I don't really know about his fighting. Yeah.
I go to visit him Sunday.
Yeah, but all them guys, again, how many guys have we lost to that? These streets and to these institutions. How many guys have we lost to that? Like I say, his brother carried the attributes to beat some of the phenomenal fighters out here. His brother was fast, very smart, extremely slick, and could punch.
Remember Moose the Cloud?
Yeah. That's Bernard's on.
Yep. All right, thanks for your time.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for the attention.